Hello, my name is Sarah. I'm a fully qualified baby and infant sleep consultant. I am a mum of two little ones and I'm the founder of Teach to Sleep. Most of my sleep philosophy comes from my background in education. I've been a teacher for over 15 years, but I'm also a strong believer of the holistic view, which takes in everything about your baby and how unique they are and responding to their needs with lots of gentle love. So no kind of cry out, no stressful situations of expecting your baby to be left by themselves, but lots of gentle support and just little tweaks with your routines can make quite a big difference in terms of infant sleep. So what is the fourth trimester? The fourth trimester is the first 3 to 4 months after your baby has been born. It's a very challenging time for your baby and for you. You'll be going through lots of changes in terms of your body, your emotions and your hormones, and they will be trying to get to grips with the new world that they found themselves in. They have gone from spending 9 months in a womb where they felt really warm and comfortable. They haven't had to regulate their temperature. They've been protected from light. They have been supported by your heartbeat, your walking, your rhythm of movement. And they haven't had to think about feeding or sleep. That's happened automatically for them. So the kind of things you'd expect to see in a newborn in terms of behaviour is most of them will want to sleep on you, will want lots of contact time, skin to skin. They will struggle with being put down in their Moses basket or their pram. And they may show lots of unpredictable, inconsistent behaviour. So one day they may be very happy, the next day they may be struggling and crying a lot. One day they may find sleeping in the day easy and then the next day not so easy. Nights may go from lots of wake-ups to not so many and back to lots again. This is completely normal and expected. They are trying to get to grips with living in this new world, and you are trying to get to grips of learning to respond to your baby and understand what all of their different signals mean. So it is quite a difficult time, but it is a special one and one in which you really don't need to worry about any kind of regimented routine. So when your baby gets older, they will need fairly consistent, regular naps. And for the moment, the only thing you need to be thinking about is responding to your baby's needs. So trying to work out when it is they're tired and when they need to have a nap. So you may see some early signs of tiredness. For example, they may start to have a lull in movement, to look a little bit bored, to look away from you. They're your first signals that your baby is starting to get tired. They may do some yawning, they may rub their eyes, and then they can quite quickly become overtired. So they might start pulling up their knees, rubbing their ears, rubbing their face on your shoulder, crying inconsolably. This is the time where they have got to the point where they are really, really tired and they desperately need a nap. Now, some babies will give you a fairly long period of time, so they'll start to show the early signs that they're tired, but then they'll give you a minute or two before they get overtired. Whereas other babies, they can show you that they're tired by looking away, but then a few seconds later, they can immediately be overtired. So don't worry if you've missed those cues. They are something that you'll be learning to read and respond, and some days you'll get it right and some days you won't. And that is completely normal. And that's the fourth trimester. So babies under 6 months of age have very high sleep needs. Some babies will seem to want to sleep all day long, and some babies will seem very alert. Now, research has found that newborns need anything between 9 to 19 hours of sleep, which really highlights how unique babies are and how important it is to get to know your own baby and their unique sleep needs and signals. Now, when babies are first born, They often sleep pretty much most of the day. And then you start to notice after a period of a few weeks that their naps become much shorter. So they tend to be anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes. Some will do less and some will do longer. But these short naps are really normal, and they don't tend to lengthen these naps until they're around 6, 7, 8 months old. So you really don't need to worry about your baby doing short naps. It's actually completely normal and completely expected. So when does your newborn need to have a nap? Well, most babies can only handle being awake for a short period of time. So we call these awake windows. And newborns tend to be able to handle around about 40 minutes. Again, some will do longer, maybe an hour, and some will only be able to handle about 20 minutes. So it's really important to be keeping an eye out for the time and very loosely thinking about how long they've been awake for, and perhaps they may need a nap if they've been awake for an hour or over an hour. Now, once you see that they've been awake for a fairly long period of time, and perhaps you've noticed some of their sleepy signals, this is the time then you want to be thinking about how can you support them to have a nap. Now, the 4th trimester is all about finding ways to help and support your baby's sleep. Most babies will have got very used to feeding and falling asleep in the womb. So this is a really good tool to use if your baby likes it and it comforts them. So if you're able to feed your baby to sleep, brilliant, it's a great tool. If they don't take to this, you may want to put them into a sling or rock them in the pram, go out for a walk. You may want to have a contact nap, so have them here on you sleeping. You're trying to find different ways to support your baby and help them fall asleep. So if you can, have lots of different ways. If they like to sleep on you and you're doing lots of contact naps right here, it may be that you also want to use something like the sling, just so that at some points you've got your free hands and you're able to do something for yourself. But it is very much about supporting them and helping them to have those naps. In terms of the nap environment, ideally you want to mimic the womb, so making sure they're warm and they're comfortable. You don't need to worry about the light, so that doesn't affect their daytime sleep, and you want to be able to keep an eye on them, so somewhere close by. And then thinking about noise, so in the womb they're used to background noise, so you might want to have the TV on or the radio, or you may want to use kind of white noise which mimics the noise that they would have heard in their womb. So when it comes to bedtime, newborns tend to go to bed really quite late, which can be really challenging in itself, but just knowing this can often be helpful. So most newborns don't tend to want to go to sleep till around about 9, 10, 11, possibly later. And that's because they only sleep around 8 to 9 hours at night. So once you've gauged when your baby starts to get really tired for bedtime, then you may want to think about introducing a very simple bedtime routine. Having a consistent bedtime routine really helps your baby feel secure and set up for a good night's sleep. Now, when I say a good night's sleep, for newborns, it is expected that they're going to wake up very, very regularly. So probably every 2 hours, possibly longer, possibly less time. So do try to make sure that you look after yourself. If you can get any rest in the morning, if you've got help from a partner, do. If you can do night shifts between the two of you, take all the help you can get, because it is incredibly tiring. Now, once you have an idea of roughly what time your baby goes to sleep for the night, your routine, you want to make sure it's roughly about 5 minutes and it's very simple. And that's because newborns get overtired and overstimulated very, very quickly. So try to make the routine simple. For example, change their nappy, put their pajamas on, feed them and putting them down in their sleep space. As simple as that. You may want to introduce the white noise once they go down. You may want to make sure that it's pitch black, because that will start to help them distinguish between day and night. Their body clock, aka their circadian rhythm, will start to kick into play around about 3 to 4 months, but it's really good practice to make a clear distinction between day and night, so having 12 hours of daylight, getting outside as much as possible, and then when they go to bed, making sure that it is really, really dark. The other thing to think about is their environment. So again, a bit like naps, just making sure they're warm and they're comfortable, and that you've also thought about background noise. So are you going to have silence, or are you going to be playing white noise? And if you do choose to play white noise, it's really helpful to have it playing all night long, just so again they've got some consistency in terms of day and night, and so that if they do wake up and they hear that noise, they're going to feel nice and secure and settled. In terms of being prepared for those difficult nights and waking up really regularly, try to have everything prepared and near you. So if you need to do a nappy change, you've got everything there. If you're bottle feeding or breastfeeding, you may want to have a light or bottles or anything you're going to require to hand, and it all nicely organised, so that any of those wake-ups can be dealt with, if possible, nice and quietly and quickly. So in terms of you, make sure you do look after yourself. It's very easy to get carried away with just thinking about your baby, but remember you are equally as important, and try to give yourself just as much a care and attention if possible. So even if it means getting a shower in the morning or having 5 minutes to yourself, these things are really, really important, and make sure you go easy on yourself. We can as parents feel a lot of guilt and often feel like we're not doing a good job, when actually we are doing a brilliant job. We're responding to our baby's needs, and we are supporting and helping them as much as possible. There will always be bits of advice that you perhaps don't want to take or doesn't sit right with you, a little voice in your head perhaps that says you're creating a rod for your own back, or you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. I always say, if you're responding to your baby's needs and it's working for you, you're doing a brilliant job. If you found a way of supporting your baby to help them sleep that's nurturing and loving, you are doing a brilliant job. If you do nothing when it comes to sleep, things will get better. So you don't have to follow any form of advice that I've given you or any other advice you've heard. It will always get better. So sleep is a continuum. You'll go up and down in terms of phases, but it will always get better. So try not to become overly obsessed with sleep, and know that everything is a phase. So at the moment, your newborn will most probably want to sleep on you all the time, but they will grow out of that. And if you can, enjoy those snuggles. My two little ones are 2 and 3.5. And every now and again I get a little contact nap on me, and I love it, but I know they're not going to last for much longer. So if you can, enjoy those snuggles, don't feel guilty, know that actually you are doing a wonderful job supporting your baby to feel nice and secure, and to also make sure that they enjoy sleep and develop some really good, healthy sleep habits. Thank you so much for listening to my talk. I hope that you found it interesting and useful, and more than anything, I hope that you found it reassuring. If you would like any further tips, I give lots of free tips on my Instagram accounts, my grid. I do weekly Q&A sessions on my stories, so you can ask me questions and I answer as many as I can. And I have a Facebook community group. We have lots of really supportive parents who like to share their sleep scenarios, and we support each other. And I also give free talks within that community group. If you feel you would like any one-to-one support, then do have a look at my website, where I offer reassurance calls as well as full sleep packages. I hope that you are having a wonderful time with your newborn, and that you realise how brilliant you are, and that you are able to look after yourself during this time.